YouTube, welcome back to Wtf Rc Cars. So, not sure in what order this is going to happen, but I've had confirmation off Flysky. We're getting another firmware for the G7P, so hopefully it'll be a quick and easy fix and the G7P will back up and running. The bits of Noble Pro all over my desk should be getting put back together pretty shortly. We've got a new switch coming. I've just got to solder that back to circuit board, so we'll have another happy owner on that one. And meanwhile, we've got my Noble Pro and the Mini Z Evo. Now, I have noticed, I did the video for this showing how easily mine binds to the Evo and how to update the Evo receiver. But I have been in contact with quite a few owners of the USA version of the Noble Pro, and if you're trying to bind that, what I find that works for most is if you put the RC into bind mode, then leave it a good 20 seconds, then put your transmitter into pairing mode or bind mode, leave it for another 10-20 seconds or so, and then just back out and you'll find it links to it. The EU version doesn't have that problem. You literally got to bind, back out, and it's bound up. So I'm guessing there's going to be some new firmware out at some point for the Pros. We've not seen any new firmware yet, but I have seen some of the Pros coming with a slightly newer dated version of firmware. So I'm guessing Flysky's working on that. But what we have today is the Mini Z Evo Gyro. This thing is absolutely tiny, so I will try and get a close-up picture and put it round here somewhere so you can see what we're looking at. And we're hopefully going to get this fitted in as Mini Z Evo, and then we should be able to control the gains off by setting it to dials for the Noble Pro. So let's get you in for a close look, because you're gonna need to be close to see this, because my god, it comes with two screws, and I don't even know if I've got a screwdriver that small. I'll have to look for a little jeweler's screwdriver somewhere, but let's crack on. So let's start by carefully removing the body. And I'm doing well. I've drove this a couple of times and not knocked any parts off it yet, so more than happy with that. Now, it does advise us to remove the batteries first, so just to be on the safe side, I'm going to remove the inner two as well, because I can't quite see whether they're wired in series or parallel. Right, so once we've got the batteries removed, I'd ignore what it says in instructions, especially if you're running this chassis, because as far as I can tell, the only thing we need to remove is this one little screw, and that'll take the cover off. It's got a cutout towards the left hand side for the wires to come through, so we're going to be placing the gyro in that position. It looks like it's designed for the wires to come out the bottom, and I think we can easily use the stock screw that we've just removed. So if you just line it up in the hole where you've just took the cover out of, and then what we should be able to do is just bring this plug around. You want the white wire facing forward, the red wire to the back, and we should just be able to put it in. I would loop the wires round out the way of the antenna. And then we need to place the batteries back in. once we've got them back in, you can put the battery covers back on. So let's power up and see what happens. So if we turn the steering gain up, we then get an input from it. You've also got the gyro gain for the throttle. Right, so once we've got it in and we've verified it's working, I'll just show you the settings that we've got on the Noble Pro. So settings wise, on these two dials, so we've got it set up, so top one is the steering gain and we can alter that. Bottom one is the throttle gain, and how we've got that set up, if we go into assignment, and then TR4 is the lower one. So if you look, we've got that set to THG, throttle gain, and we've got it in normal direction, steppings 2, so you can set that however you like, have the function set as normal. TR3, we've got this one set to reverse for the steering, again normal, the functionality is just right at the top, so it's ST gain, steering gain, and again stepping 2. So basically as you're driving along, you can just adjust your throttle and steering gain from the gyro. If you drop them all the way down to 0, Center point. So if you drop them to 0, you see nothing at all, and then as you start turning them back up, and I believe if you go all the way to 0 and then keep going backwards, it'll also go into the negative, but it does work 0 to 100 in either direction. Although the steering gain doesn't, but the throttle gain does. That's a strange one. I don't think we've got anything different set up between them, so I'll just check. Nope. So steering gain set like that, and throttle gain is set like that. So throttle gain, you can go down to 0 and keep going back. I'm not sure why you ever would. You do get a notification when it's on 0, so you know both of them set to 0, and that basically turns your gyro off altogether. And then as you start to increase the gyro, it'll get more and more sensitive. But let's wrap this one up. So there you have it, full gyro setup on the MR03 Evo using the, let's get a model number for this thing. So it's a MZW405 Gyro set for Mini Z Evo, and it's fully configurable and controllable from the Noble Pro. So as we wind the steering gain down, you can see it gets less and less effect, and the throttle one also works. If I hold it at a steady throttle position, you can see it cuts in for the throttle. So hopefully you'll find that useful, and it's quite an interesting little thing. Depending on the track surface and the tyres you're using, you can dial it in as and when you like, or without having to remove it, you can just dial it down to 0 and it turns the gyro off altogether. But thanks again for watching Wtf Rc Cars. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll catch you guys again in the next one.